Hello, guys. Bob here for TNL Network. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live. Tonight's TNL show is going to be fascinating to say the least. Our guest has one of the best stories and journeys, as well as more stories to tell than you can cram into a circus train. He has one of the richest, most colorful performance backgrounds in the entire Christmas community. Huh? His story, he has one of the most richest, colorful performance backgrounds in the entire Christmas community, Spangle. You know, he's been in entertainment for over 50 years and an award winning comedy magician, a Ringling trained clown, a Big Apple Circus performer, a Santa at Macy's and Rockefeller Center, and a lifelong ambassador of Barney's legacy. I had the privilege of seeing him many years ago. It was actually March of 2015 here in Texas, and cannot wait to be amazed by him again. This segment of tonight's show is brought to you by North Pole Cornerstones, a new, unique, and entertaining 4-day educational experience. We are Tuesday Night Live. All right, everyone, please give a kind word or two in the chat to my fun and crazy co host. And while you are at it, be sure and send some love to this young lady right here, our gifted producer. Say hello to Spangle the Clown and Angela Mack.
I gotta find him. Sorry, y'all. My computer.
Oh, there I am. Oh, yes, they found me. I was kind of hiding under that rock over there, and I didn't let them know where I was. I'm sorry about that, guys. And look at over there. There's Angela.
Yes, she's having to operate, produce from my computer for a few minutes. Her computer was giving her a fit over there in the corner, so she had to come over here to get us moving along. Anyway, experience on your bigger screen where the experience comes live. YouTube at the Tuesday Night Live Show 1225. The first half
Yes.
of the TNL show trivia. What's Michael?
Well, I was just going to say, Bob, you're making her use the same computer you bought her in junior high. Maybe
Uh,
it's time for you to upgrade that for her.
uh,
There you go.
yeah. See, now look what you've done.
I need all kinds of upgrades over here. I need a new camera. 'Cause I
Uh,
just got a laptop camera, and you know. Okay, are we doing SOS?
well, I
Or
was
where
yeah,
we
I
at?
was getting around to it when Michael stopped me.
No, 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 no. Hold on, real quick.
Real
Let's
quick.
do the Cherry Hill. Oh, but my camera's not on yet. Okay. Well, if y'all can see that.
Okay. If you can see that, I hope that you can. Cherry Hill has a special promotion going on, as they have had for this season. Watch tonight's show and go over to Cherry Hill tomorrow and win some
Swag.
swag, some merch, some TNL Santa Central merchandise. Absolutely. So we'll put this up on the group page where everybody can see it. It's also over on the Santa Central Cherry Hill Programs page. If you're not a member over there, please go over and submit your application. Well, it's a click of the button, but apply to become part of that group because they have really stepped their game up this year and they're giving away a lot of merch, and it's not cheap merch. It's really nice merch.
You mean they got the good stuff?
Yeah, the hat that you've seen me wear a few times. It's embroidered. It's an expensive hat. It's very, very, very nice. So are the shirts. So, anyway, all right. Let's get into the this
I think
portion.
this thing's already going haywire. We must have some clown in the background or something.
I think we got more than one. Okay, moving along. First half of the TNL show. Trivia is brought to you by School of Santa's 2026, hosted by Spangle in the picturesque Ozark Mountains, Branson, Missouri, where fun and education meets. And keynote speaker this year is our guest tonight. Spangle, it's all up to you, man.
Yeah, okay. Now, guys, you're going to get your name in the hat for a spot at the School of Santa's. Okay, now this is a sold-out venue. It's the hottest ticket around now because it's sold out. If you can get a ticket, you're there, man. The end of May, we're going to draw it, and it also gets your name in the hat for the North Pole Cornerstones, and that'll be drawn next season. But anyway, no, at the end of this season. When you draw the end of this season, okay. Well, let's get on to some trivia there. You see it up there on your screen. In the Lord of the Rings, we're talking about some elf trivia. What is the elvish word for friend? A, buddy, B, alfium, C, melon, and D, city. And that's spelled S-I-D-H-E, kind of like C-I-T-Y, I think, but I don't know.
Yeah,
kind of sounds the same almost. But anyways, we got a bonus question. In what century did the modern conception of Santa's elves begin to take place? A, 19, B, 18, C, 20th, or D, the 17th century? Wait, there's extra credit. Which other characters can sometimes be confused for or mistaken for an elf? Gnomes, fairies, pixels, brownies, and all of them. Now, I don't know. I think brownies are sometimes confused as cookies.
Yes, they can be. They can be.
Yep. Now, I went to a house one day, and they had brownies. So, when I was delivering presents, so I went ahead and left the presents. The next house I went to, they had Rice Krispie treats. So I went ahead and took the presents back with me and everything that they already had under the tree.
Very nice.
All right, guys, let's get on with this. Bob, your turn.
Well, I just want to reiterate that the producer needs the letter and the answer. Example, A, and then the answer, or whatever you think the answer is. Please give both for each of those three trivia questions.
So they need like A, 18th, C, 19th. All right. B, 17th.
Absolutely.
Now, I just confused everybody because I mixed those all up.
Yes, you did. You sure did. Also, remember, you can win trivia that is associated with the scholarship drawings as many times as you wish. There's no limit, so play, play, play. Real quick now, we want to play something. This is new for tonight's show, and we'll run for the rest of the season on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Over to you, Angela.
Since 1948, one suit defined Santa. Designed by Charles W. Howard and worn by the world-famous Santa Claus School. Worn for presidents, movies, parades, and the most magical moments in families' lives. This is not a costume, but finely tailored, hand-sewn clothing made in the USA. With expert cleaning, restoration, and storage services available, Santa and Company, LLC, makes Santa magical.
All right, Spangle, over to you, my friend.
All right, good. Hey, we got a guy standing backstage right now. He's climbing all over the screens and trying to get out there. He's like, somehow I got to get out of this box, so let's get on with this. Tonight on TNL, our special guest, life reads like a living chapter of American circus history. Born and raised in Bridgeport, Connecticut, P.T Barnum's hometown, he grew up surrounded by the spirit of showmanship. That influence shaped him early, and over the next 50 plus years, he became one of the most versatile performers of his generation. He is an award winning comedy magician, a professional clown, and a performer who has appeared with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bay Circus, the Big Apple Circus, two of the most iconic circus institutions in the world. His talent and charisma has taken him everywhere. He is our keynote instructor for the School of Santas in July in Branson. Please give a huge applause for Santa Joe Barney.
Hi guys, how are ya? Hope everybody's doing well. I am going to have to pay Spangle for that introduction. That was pretty good.
I'll give you my address to mail the check.
Ooh, that was good.
Bob will
So,
probably
hi
want to cut
everybody
of
in
that.
Santa Claus land.
Yeah, Bob will probably want to cut of my
I didn't hear that.
Bob will probably want to cut of my
that
profits.
what-
He wrote it.
Oh, sure. Okay. All right. I like that.
All right, Bob.
So,
Well, I told you, Joe, Spangle likes to get a piece of all of us, so we've already started to show
you know
off a
that
few-
sooner or later.
Yeah, sooner or later. All right, let's go ahead and roll into this, Joe. We got a lot to talk about tonight. As we said, your life is fascinating, to say the least. When did you first think about becoming Santa, and what inspired you to step into the red suit? In other words, what was it that made you want to portray Santa Claus professionally?
Well, the first time that I really got hit with the Santa Claus bug was when I was 5 years old. We had gone to the what's known as Santa's Workshop up in North Pole, New York. Beautiful, beautiful. It's considered the oldest operating theme park in America, and it was built. It's beautiful, beautiful in a beautiful valley in the mountains up there, and all surrounded by green trees. The whole thing. They have an honest to God North Pole that's frozen all year long in the center of all the village. The village was completely made out of log cabins and everything else. And I was there at 5 years old. I actually went up and they put my tongue right on that North Pole. And I don't know whether that was part of it. And I got the whole, to be Santa Claus. But I wanted to be Santa Claus ever since then. And then when I was about, I'd say 12 years old, I said, hey, you know what? Dad, I need a Santa Claus outfit. Well, my father bought me a Santa Claus outfit, and it turned out to have one of those rubber latex Santa Claus masks. There's not too many 12-year-old Santa Clauses running around, you know what I mean? So I got to play Santa Claus for my sisters and all that, and the neighbors' kids, and I absolutely had a blast. But when it really hit home was when I went to college. I had been performing since I was basically 5 years old and on. It kept going. And by the time I was in high school and all of that, and in college, I was performing comedy magic. So I actually saw an ad in the New York Times in New York City, a blind ad that said, looking for holiday performers. I answered that blind ad, and it was Macy's store. Macy's in New York City. And when I walked in the door, they said, do you have any experience? I said, well, actually, I've been performing as a clown and comedy magician since I was a little kid. So I actually joined the Macy's family as soon as I walked in the door, and I became the Macy's Christmas clown and traveled all through their stores, including the one in New York City, the one in Philadelphia. I opened stores for them. I was actually in malls that we brought not the entire group of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade balloons, but we had the balloons in the mall, and I was doing breakfast with Santa Claus also. So then they came to me and said, would you consider being Santa Claus? I said, yeah, I just kind of think that's the next step is doing that. But I was fighting two demons. I shouldn't say demons, two opportunities. Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey had gotten my attention, and they wanted me to come and join the circus. So when I went to audition for the circus in 1981, they offered me a sum of money that was ridiculously small at that point, or should I say little. And by the time they realized, I said, no, no thanks. I'm going to stay at Macy's. I make more money at Macy's. You know, I love being Santa Claus, but I love to eat cookies too. And somebody's got to pay for the cookies the rest of the time of the year. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So then actually getting into the Macy's family and then actually asking to be Santa Claus was just mind boggling for me. It was something that was always one of my bucket lists to be Santa Claus for Macy's. So, and then it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I always, that season between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I saved for the Santa Claus. And then all those other times I was traveling with circuses and performing. So being Santa Claus in New York City and having so many eyes on you as Santa Claus, I became Santa Claus for Radio City Music Hall. I wasn't in the show, but what was really neat about it is that Santa Claus in the show is an actor. He doesn't make personal appearances. So at this point, we were being taken as Santa Claus to do these appearances all over the country. And at that point, Radio City Music Hall was owned by Madison Square Garden. So I got to travel with the Rockettes and go across the country doing personal appearances of Santa Claus with the Rockettes. Lots of fun. Lots.
You seem to have a little problem with your sound right now. Hey, and
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and throw this next question out at you. And Santa is only one of your many characters. How does the effect of your portrayal of Santa, and that's still the other part, how did your circus and magic background influence your Santa persona?
Well, I think my persona, and I think it works differently for everybody. When you become Santa Spangle, it's basically an extension of your own self. It's an extension of your personality. When I'm Santa, it's an extension of my personality. I am a performance Santa. I will admit I am not let's sit on the throne for 8 or 9 hours and have kids sit on top of me. I enjoy that. But when I get to do a show of 15, 16, sometimes 3,000 people, who come out to watch one of my shows, to me, I feel that I'm spreading Santa's message in the message of Christmas to so many people at one shot. But I'm also the type of person that wants to make sure that every one of those people that I see feels the Christmas spirit. I was blessed to be working for the Six Flags parks to design their holiday in their parks across the country. And I designed one of their first ones, which was up in Lake George, New York. And I ended up doing Great Adventure, which is the largest one they had in New Jersey. So we built the Santa house. We designed the costumes. We did everything.
Nice.
So,
Now, I
lots
mentioned
of
earlier
fun.
that I got to see you back in 2015, Joe. You were the keynote speaker at the Lone Star Santa's Roundup. That's where I first was introduced to you.
Yep.
And
Yep. Love
it's
those
been,
guys and girls down there.
it's been a minute since that happened, but I do remember you telling a story about how your whole family was involved with the circus, and you were actually born while they were performers. Is that correct?
Yes, I like to tell everybody that I was born of elfin blood. My grandfather was a little person, and my grandfather was 3'11", and my grandmother was 6'3", and they came over from Ireland to be in the entertainment business. And it was funny because they worked the Coney Island Boardwalk, they worked at Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, and then my grandfather got to be one of the Munchkins in The Wizard of Oz. And then he left show business, and during the war and everything else, it was the Second World War. He actually worked the overhead cranes, the large, the Remington. Have you ever heard of Remington guns and Remington ammo and all that stuff? In Bridgeport, we were known as the Arsenal of America at one point because we had so many wartime factories that were building. So my grandfather actually drove the overhead crane in one of the factories, so he could fit up there where nobody else could. And then it's continued in the family, and it's my son has been in the show, has been in the circus, has been with Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, went on to become a production manager for The Greatest Show on Earth. Then traveled with a lot of people don't know that the same family, the Feld family, owns not only Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus, but they also own Disney on Ice. They've owned The Wizard of Oz on Ice. They owned what was it, Holiday Holiday on Ice, Ice Capades. So at one point, now they also own Jurassic Park Live, Marvel Live, and all that stuff. So my
And
son,
what family is this?
the Feld, F-E-L-D, Feld family.
Okay.
Urban Feld, who was the Urban Feld bought the Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus from the Ringling Brothers. This is the 100th anniversary. This year is the 100th anniversary of the circus moving from my hometown in Bridgeport, Connecticut, to Florida, where it was in Sarasota, Florida. So, spent a lot of time in the circus business.
Right.
Well, the second half of the show, we're going to talk more about circus, but let's get back on Santa right here. Can
Yeah.
you tell our viewers what would you say makes you Santa?
What makes me Santa is my mindset, and the fact that I have always been one of the people to give back. I think I absolutely love being Santa Claus. I don't do I do it for money? Have I been blessed and asked to do it for money? Yes. Do I do it for free? You bet I do. And in fact, that's why I like to share what I do, how I do it, and being in the place in the right time. I always tell people to believe in themselves. I think that's one of the most important things to do as Santa Claus. People are so nervous when they put on that Santa Claus outfit. Well, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do that? They forget the humanity of who we are as Santa Claus. And the fact is that I have 6 children. So I have very good practice with working with kids. And the fact that to be able to really dig down deep within my heart and bring that up through my performances, and I hate to say performances as Santa Claus, but when I become Santa Claus, I'm Santa Claus. It has to take quite a hard time for me to come down from being Santa Claus. It's easy to get into, but it's a hard time to get out of it. You know what I mean? After a long day of performing.
Very good. Now, you always talk about the word believing. What does that really mean to you?
Well, I think the fact is, I've seen so many times, do I believe that I was put on this earth to make people laugh? That I have gotten special talents to be able to do that? That's what I believe in. I really believe that if I don't do that, then I'm wasting what God gave me. You know, at one point in my life, it was really going back and forth between whether I wanted to join the circus or whether I wanted to go to the seminary and become a priest and everything else. And I went to seminary, a preparatory school, and all that. And at the end of that, I knew right then and there, and so did everybody in the preparatory school. All of my teachers said, Joe, you're better off to go spread the message that you need to spread by going into the entertainment world. And that's what I did. That's what I chose to do, and haven't looked back since. And that's now, it's long, that's 60 years of, coming up close on 60 years of performing. So, but Santa Claus is the one that I feel most called to.
That's a long
I'm sure
time.
everybody feels that too.
Yeah.
When you get that point where you get a calling to be Santa Claus, how do you get that calling? Where does that calling come from? And I really, really believe that to be a great Santa Claus, to be a good Santa Claus, you have to actually accept that calling to be Santa Claus.
Very much so.
And that's what this whole show in the beginning was all about, was reaching out within the community and getting those stories, because everyone has an inspiration. Everyone started at the same place, and everybody that performs now, wanted to be Santa for a reason. They were either asked to do it or calling, or we've all got a different story, and that's what we love about this. Now,
Yes.
my next question is one, and I think a lot of people are kind of fascinated. When you mention Macy's or Rockefeller Center, people get really excited. What was it like performing at those venues?
Magical. When I first started in Macy's, that was 1970s, in the late 1970s. I started with Macy's, and the fact to be in the middle of such a rich tradition of the American Santa, and also such a big part of the American community. Not only does Macy's do Christmas, I mean, we have a flower show, 4th of July show, all of that stuff. So over the years, we were involved with all of that. Being what I did for them. Um, and with great stories of what we saw, who we worked with, people that I had sit on my lap. I was sitting in the Macy Santa Claus, and all of a sudden, in walks Michael Eisner from Disney and sits on my lap, and still made a picture of him sitting on my lap. But we got to talking, and he really was interested on how we portray Santa Claus because he wanted a stronger portrayal of Santa Claus in Walt Disney World. Instead of just being a photo prop, he wanted to start really bringing the legends of Santa Claus and the traditions. This is also close to the time they're building Epcot, where they were having the Santa Clauses from all the different countries appear. So there was a number of Santa Clauses there, and I've had the pleasure of actually working in Walt Disney World as Santa Claus too, and just amazing. One of my favorite experiences when I was working in Rockefeller Center. I was doing breakfast with Santa Claus in Rockefeller Center. I would leave my house in Connecticut about 4 o'clock in the morning, completely dressed as Santa, drive all the way to New York City, but I couldn't find a parking space in New York City, even at 4 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't so much about finding a parking space, is that at the end of my day as Santa at Rockefeller Center, I would walk out and I'd be swarmed with all the people. Well, you see how it is outside the Today Show and all that stuff. That place is filled all the time, especially when the tree goes up. So I'd asked if I could get a parking space, and they said, absolutely, you come down, you press the button, say that you're Santa, and you pull down this driveway. I pulled down the driveway, and I ended up in the Today Show parking lot. So I got to see everybody on the Today Show. It was the first time I pulled in, I heard, hey, Santa, and it was Al Roker who was talking to me. So I had portrayed Santa Claus for the Bush family. And back then, it was Barbara Bush and it was George Bush Sr. were the president and the first lady. And I got to meet Jenna Bush when she was only about 5 or 6 years old and sat on my lap back then. So when I saw her as now one of the hosts of the Today Show, she couldn't believe that I was the same person. That, yeah, you sat on my lap. I got to meet Willie Geist, and they're spectacularly good people, spectacularly good people. So that was one of my most fun experiences as Santa Claus. And Radio City was always quite the kick when they would send us out of where we were going to go and where we were going to portray Santa. And we really didn't know. And the amount of people that I ran into I actually by accident I was doing a Santa Claus appearance for the New York Realtors Board in New York in a very fancy hotel. And it was, as you can expect, when you go to one of those Christmas parties in New York City, everybody's on their best behavior so they don't tick off their boss or anything else. I got out of the elevator on the way home and ran into one of the leads of the HBO Soprano series. And it was one of the leads who had a more colorful name than he was assigned in the actual HBO show. And he said to me, yo, Santa Claus, do you know who I am? And I said, I know exactly who you are. And I used his name they used on the show. He says, what am I getting for Christmas, Santa? I said, nothing at all. I said, I know how many people you whacked. We do get HBO at the North Pole. So that was a neat experience.
Let me ask you this. What was the most touching moment you've ever had as Santa Claus?
Wow. I always like to find when you were, and I don't know whether anybody else experiences this, is you get so busy so many times working as Santa Claus that you rob yourself sometimes of not enjoying the whole season. I would much rather give my love and affection to all the kids that come see me and actually make it as believable as I can be. And everybody says, oh my God, you're not real bearded. How can you be Santa Claus? I'm a firm believer. Anybody can be Santa Claus if you have a great heart. And then the fact that you take it to the next point of having the beards. When we were at Macy's, we had dressers, we had wig makers. They were right there making us turn into Santa Claus every day. But one of the most touching that I ever had happened to me when I was Santa Claus in Lake George, New York, and I was doing Santa Claus for the Six Flags Corporation in the Great Escape Lodge. And I had a family come up to me, and the family had three children, exceptionally well dressed, very good looking, the whole routine. Mom and dad were dressed to the nines, and they had a young woman with them who was helping take care of the kids. And after the kids came up and took my picture with them, I noticed that this young woman was of special needs. So I told her to come on up and see me. And she asked if it was okay with the family that she was in. And she came up and she whispers into my ear. I said to her, Santa, what would you like for Christmas, sweetheart? And she goes, I really want my own family. She goes, I said, I can understand that. He says, but I said, that's a big order from Santa Claus to get you your own family. But I'll do my best. Is there anything else, honey, that you would like? And she leans over and goes, I really like candy. So that I jumped off the throne, went right into the gift shop, and grabbed the biggest box of candy I could find in the gift shop and told all the girls in the gift shop, just put it on Santa's tab, he'll be back. So I came and I gave her the candy. 2 years goes by, I'm sitting in the same throne in the same place as Great Escape Lodge, and all of a sudden, if you've seen those movies where the kids start flying up in the air and getting pushed out of line and everything else, I'm like, what in God's name is going on? Well, the next thing you know, I see this young lady, the same young lady from 2 years ago, runs up to me, throws her arms around my neck and says, you did it, you did it, you did it. You got me a family. I said, really? I said, tell me what happened. She goes, well, I joined a group home, and now I have brothers and sisters, and we live all together, and we're one big family. Well, with that, the young lady who ran the group home came up to me and said, she has been insisting to come see you for the last 2 weeks. And I had to bring her here because she said she had to come thank you. And gave me a big hug, a big kiss. Tears are just pouring out of my eyes, down my cheeks, and everything else. And as she turns around and she goes back through the crowd and everything, she turns around and in the biggest, loudest voice you could hear out of this little girl, she yells at me, and I really like the candy. Oh, it was amazing, amazing.
Very
Amazing.
cool.
So now I wait every year to have one of those, and I'm blessed to have one of those experiences almost every year when it makes my Christmas. You know what I mean? When I feel the full power of Christmas, and it can be at the very beginning, it can be at the very end, but I haven't had one yet that I've missed. It's been something happens that makes me realize why we still do this every year. Every year.
Very
Well,
nice.
and that kind of goes hand in hand with what you were saying about not being outside of the moment, but be in the moment and enjoy every moment
Yes.
of the season. That's something that I teach when I'm teaching is to the new guys, is that slow down, take in everything. Don't just rush right through it, but enjoy every moment because every second is precious when you're performing at Santa.
Well, I totally agree with you, Bob. And I really get to the point sometimes where, and I've worked those events where they're like, and I hate the people who stand in the back and start doing this, where they're rolling their fingers for us to speed up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Speed it up, speed it up. How can you make a minute that minute last forever? How do you make that moment that lasts forever if you're getting rushed to go through it? It is and I tell all the people that hire me, I want to spend the time with the kids. So if you're looking to get that picture, please get that picture while I'm spending the time with the kids. And
Absolutely.
it has worked for me, thank God. It has worked for me.
The stage photos at the mall where I'm at are fine, and that's what the photo company wants. Is those poses. But then I always talk to my crew beforehand and let them know in the beginning of the season that while I'm talking with the children can also be very candid and can be some of the shots that the parents really love the most and want to buy. So a good point on that
Yes.
part.
Well, I find more and more of the malls are going to, and they're still out there that want to do that take your picture, as Santa Claus in the malls. In our area where I am, right outside of the city, we're finding more and more of the malls turning to giving selfies with Santa Claus, which is the same thing. We still have the mall provides a big set and everything else, and they come up and they can bring their own cameras, which is definitely a change in the whole way of what
Absolutely.
Santa has been over the years.
Yeah, and two, I had one set manager out of all the years I've been there that come up and said, we're running a little bit behind on our reservations. Can you speed it up? And I looked at her and I said, no, ma'am. I said, we will be on time at the end of the day. Leave it up to me. I know how to manage the time. Some children,
Right.
some families take a little longer. Some families and some children take less time. It's all going to balance. She was a new manager, and I don't think she really got the whole concept of it. But anyway, it does. It balances out, and we're more of the timekeeper than they are. We know what's going on in
Oh,
our.
I totally agree. You got to remember that so many of the companies that are looking for Santa Clauses from all do great jobs. They
Yeah.
have great luck in getting the Mrs. Clauses or the Mr. Claus the right one. But a lot of the times they spend so much time on getting the people to be Santa Claus that when it comes to the point of them getting to be the backup crew, meaning the manager and everything else, is a little different. So I think if the managers know more from who we are as Santa Claus, and
Oh,
we tell them
absolutely.
from the get go, this is what we like to do, they also understand a lot better from us, you know.
We
So,
almost have to kind of set the tone at the what they call the soft opening of the season, and let the managers know, especially the new ones, that if you have any questions, come to me. I've been doing this a long time. I can help you along with what you need, and they lean on us. They come to us for
oh
the
sure,
answer. That's
sure
good
they do.
because again,
All right,
Yep,
Bob.
yep.
okay. On the other side of Spangle's question, let's do this one. What was the most difficult Santa performance for you?
Wow. I get to perform Santa Claus in children's hospitals quite a bit. And going through the children's hospitals, I make the point that my Christmas is usually spent in a hospital in the morning, knowing that most of the hospitals try to clear out all the kids so they're home for Christmas, but they can't always do that. So the fact that I was stationed at the Yale New Haven Children's Hospital for many years, not only as Santa Claus, but also in their healthy humor program and the Big Apple Clown Care Unit. And we worked with terminally ill kids and all that as Santa Claus and as clowns. And that has to be one of the most difficult propositions. I've had a little boy come up to me as Santa Claus, and you definitely could tell he was at the end stages of his life. And he turned to me and he goes, Santa, I'm dying. I said, I understand that, my friend. I've heard that, but I'm dying too. But the thing with me is that I don't know when it's going to happen. It could be any time that's going to happen for me. And I said, but you are in the best place for these lovely people to take care of you. And you're surrounded not only by my love, but the love of everyone that is here to help you on your journey. He goes, I never thought of it that way, but you're right. It's like taking a long walk. I said, you're very right. It is like taking a long walk. That was one of the most difficult things I've ever done as being Santa Claus. But I'm a softie. If I go into one of the hospitals or like that, or I have a child that comes up to me that looks like one of my kids, I melt. I melt. I melt. One of the best things I had to happen with me with a little boy or a little girl, I had this little girl come into me in Macy's and she was surrounded by paparazzi, picture takers, cameras, and everything else. They don't tell me who I'm meeting with, right? So this little girl came in. Little girl's got red hair. They sit her up on my lap. We're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Gives me a big hug and a big kiss and walks away. And finally I said, who was that little girl that she has all this paparazzi around her? They said, oh, that's Virginia O'Hanlon's great great granddaughter. And if you know, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. So I literally had that woman's great great granddaughter sitting on my lap. It was like, oh my God. Oh my God. But you know what? I'm kind of glad they don't tell me who they are. You know why? Because I treat every child the same. I treat every child that comes to see me as the same. Rich, poor, black, white, it doesn't matter to me. They used to have we had a little tale out of school in Macy's. We have a gentleman that would come to visit Santa Claus with one of these babies. And you've probably seen the babies that look very lifelike. So he would bring this baby in, and they told me because of my personality that I would get to be able to visit with the devil baby. And I'm like, devil baby? What are we talking about? And this gentleman brought this baby in, teeth filed down, the whole routine, had, horns in his head and all that other stuff. And he wanted me to take a picture with the devil baby. So I said, that's fine. So he comes in wearing a caftan, pushing the devil baby in a bucket, baby bucket, pulls the baby up, and I said, "Oh my word! Look at how big he's gotten. He looks adorable. He looks so nice today." And I said, "I can't wait to get my picture taken with him." So they brought him. He brings right over, sits, and I'm talking to this fake baby sitting in my lap, going on and on and on. And he says to me, "Oh, this was absolutely wonderful." He goes, "You are the real Santa Claus. You understand."
Now, Joe, I
This
just
is
got to
the
interrupt you here for a second. And are you sure that was one of those fake babies that like that, and that wasn't our friend? That wasn't our friend Scott. As
no, 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 no. It was actually a fake baby. It was pretty good.
okay, I didn't know if it
So,
was our friend Scott as a child.
oh my goodness. Well, I'll tell you, after I spent this whole time, he says, "When are you going to be here again?" I said, "I'm here every day." I said, "Santa Claus, there's only one Santa Claus." And in fact, Macy's is one of the places that Santa Claus basically started doing this type of thing, visiting with children. He says, "Well, I want to come in and see you again this season." I said, "Well, why do you want to come in and see me?" Again, we just did a wonderful photo shoot with the baby and all that. He goes, "Oh, no, 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 no. He has a little sister." Oh, well, you bring that little Dickens in to see me when you get a chance. So here I am dealing with the devil baby. This man has got, all sorts of accoutrements on and everything else. And as he's pushing the baby carriage out from the Santa land, he turns to me and goes, "God bless you." I was like, oh my God. So we've had some very unusual encounters with Santa Claus.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I mean, you see that there's new Santas coming up all over the place. What
Sure.
advice, like if you had to give them like one piece of advice, what advice would you give an upcoming Santa?
I would give advice that I give all of my guys that come to visit with me or come train with us. Take your time. Listen. Don't try to talk over the child. Listen to him. Take your time and really listen to the child. Not, "Oh, what would you like for Christmas?" Oh, no, no. I ask the children what he would wish, what his wishes are. What you would not believe some of the things that come out of these kids' mouths. And I would tell, as I said, all the Santas, if you have the Santa heart, and if you have the joy that it brings to you, that you feel that and enjoy that. Everybody's, "Well, what if I say something wrong?" Then you say something wrong and you keep going. Don't cut yourself off because you said something wrong. I've never run into the Santa police across the United States. I don't think they exist. So the fact is that from some of the older, more seasoned Santas like ourselves, and I was careful to say not the old boys like ourselves, but if you start to see there, you've got your badge. And I'm saying is, as long as you really participate and listen. When I was younger, I was like, I want to get this going and get it going, get it going. And I got to realize is that it's better for the child, it's better for me when I slow down and I give it that more of that grandpa feel, more of that caring feel. So that's what I would tell the first persons. And it's not about the costume, folks. You don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a costume. If you're going to go out and work for those, I mean, I have some beautiful costumes. I have to. Excuse me, I have to. But I also have costumes that nobody else. You've seen me as elves. You've seen me as Santa Claus dressed in a safari suit. I've got all those because depending on where I'm going, that's what I want to look like. In the clown world, everybody wants to look different. In the Santa world, everybody wants to look alike. And what I've lived by for years is a statement from P.T. Barnum of the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. Barnum once said, "If you look like everybody else, how are you ever going to stand out?" And the fact is, there's two ways of looking like that. You can look like everybody else, which I don't normally do. You can't miss that I'm Santa Claus from what costumes I have on. But I think if you act different than everybody else also, and everybody has to find their comfort level as being Santa Claus, has to find their niche. I have been in the right place at the right time so many times just because of how I've treated a person, how I've treated their children, I get asked to do amazing things, or brought to amazing places. I mean, when I was sitting on the throne in Macy's is when the White House came to me and asked me would I be available to do a home visit. And when the home visit turns out to be the White House, that's pretty unusual. And I'm thankful for all that. I really am
Well,
thankful
last
for
year
all
I
that.
did a White House and a greenhouse, and I think there was even a brick house.
Not the big one where they stop you with the Marines and everything else before you get in.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of nice because I've been taken to. Once you get to do the president, you then get to do other presidents, which is nice too. So I still do the Clintons' Christmas party. I still do work for many of the Today Show personalities as Santa Claus. So it really is a great time.
Okay, Bob.
So, Joe, inquiry minds want to know, do you work with Mrs. Claus, and is your wife a Mrs. Claus?
I am a firm believer that behind every great man is a great woman. And my wife is a school teacher, retired school teacher, loves kids. We've been married a little over, what are we going on, 46 years now? So the fact is that she is that lady behind me that keeps me going, that knows where I have to go, keeps the schedule and everything else. But she is very strong personality like I do. So if we play Mr. and Mrs. Claus together, it has to be for an unusual circumstance. We'll play Mr. and Mrs. Claus together for the president and all that because we think alike. But if I had to play Mrs. Claus and Santa Claus with her every day, we'd kill each other in plain English. We'd kill each other. She loves being Mrs. Claus, and she'll work with some of my best buddies as Mrs. Claus. And I actually turned to her and said, you know what? You take one of the malls, you run the whole mall, you take, hire who you want, L's, Y's, do whatever. So she has her own mall that she takes care of, and it keeps her busy, and she absolutely loves it. So I think Mrs. Claus is so important, so important. We just did the Santa Summit last week, and we had some of the best Mrs. Clauses. And when I bring the Mrs. Clauses in to teach other Mrs. Clauses, it really is such a mix of talent because I'm able to rely on the Santas at Macy's. I brought in Mrs. Claus, that actually is a very well-known clown who plays an exceptionally great Mrs. Claus. You saw her costuming, spangle and everything else. It's just amazing.
I've known her.
Cartoon.
I've known her for years and years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had Eric and Moesha Elliott, who just worked to do the Royal Nubian Santa, that I met them in Texas also. And they were out of the world because of the love you have for each other, and being able to carry that over into Mr. and Mrs. Claus when you perform is exceptional. I hate to see a Mrs. Claus that is dragged into the business by their husband. And you can tell who doesn't want to really be Mrs. Claus, but she's doing this on behalf of her husband. That is a huge commitment. And I say this to every of the Santas that are real bearded. When you're real bearded and you choose to act and portray Santa Claus and have the morality of Santa Claus all year long, that is a huge commitment. Huge commitment. And people say, well, why don't you grow a real beard, Joe? And the fact is, if I grow a real beard, I look homeless. That's one of the big problems. It just doesn't, I don't look good with a real beard. And then the other, I perform as Uncle Fester. And I perform as Uncle Fester from the way back in the 1960s or 70s of the Addams Family, Jack Houston era, and I've done Uncle Fester from everybody from Universal Studios all the way right to Six Flags Park. And the reason this by the time I just shaved this because I played Alfred Hitchcock a couple weeks ago, and I had to look like Alfred Hitchcock. So the fact that I have to shave my head completely to look like Uncle Fester for that whole month of October and a good part of September, and then by the time I know you're close behind me, I'm going to teach you how to light a light bulb. And then when you actually go into the Christmas season and that switch, I don't finish Halloween until November 2nd this year, so I really don't have that much of a switch to get into the Santa Claus mode.
All right. Let me ask you this, okay? With such an illustrious career,
Yeah.
where do you see yourself? Now, I know where we're going to see you in a couple months, but where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh God, yes, I can. I'm excited for that. I'll be at Santa's school at Spangles in Branson this summer in July, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Spangle and I were friends when we were just clowns. That's a good part. So
So
I'm
you
really
guys
looking
probably
forward
go
to
back
coming to
30
that and
years.
seeing everybody out there.
We go back at least 2 years, Bob.
At least, at, at least 2 years. At least 2 years. We don't want to show our age. At least two
We,
years.
we go back to when we both had hair.
Several decades ago, right?
Well, we both right, exactly. I'm in that point now where I shave it off and I'm kind of it's a 50-50 bet on whether it's going to come back. You know what I mean? That's the scary part. But I see myself in 5 years. Everybody says, so I'm getting to that age where people say, are you going to retire? What am I going to retire from? I have never worked a day in my life. And it's funny, people always say the old saying is, well, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I have been blessed. Parents that knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I knew what path I wanted to follow, and I took that path. I was always a dreamer growing up. I dreamed I wanted to be Santa Claus. I wanted to be Santa Claus and Macy's. I wanted to Claus, and you know what? I followed that dream. I let somebody else, man upstairs, take care of me of where I was going to go, and I put my belief in that, and that has I'm blessed 100-fold. It really has been. It's been an amazing, amazing journey. I'm not stopping, and have no fear that in 5 years I'll still be out there, spreading the smiles and the magic and all that because I know that I've got more work to do down here to spread that Santa Claus message and the message of believing. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself and believe in the magic that you spread as the person you are, as you've become, as accepting the role of Santa Claus. You now have that duty to get that out and to spread that magic and to spread that joy and to spread that love amongst everybody and everybody that you meet.
At the School of Santas
So
this year,
that's where I hope to be in 5 years.
Barney's session is sold out. But you know what? I think after people watch this episode tonight, they're going to be like, we got to get more Joe Barney. Spangle, what can you do? Bob, I think I got an idea. What if we sell tickets that they can watch through the windows? Now we're not going to tell them the windows are the 2 floors up. I mean, they just got to bring some stilts or something, okay? I mean, we can get them crowded around the window, Oh, there's Joe right there.
Well, I am the peeking in. I don't know if you've ever been to Macy's in New York City, but Santaland and Macy's in New York City, one of the rooms has what we call the peek window. And you have to wait in line to see Santa Claus sometimes 2.5 hours, 3 hours to see Santa Claus during the height of the season. And there's usually 8 of us at the same time to see Santa Claus, and there's a tremendous amount of weaving through the back, through the elf village and everything, so that all the elves know which ones are open. But the one cottage, Santa's cottage, has a peek window out into the store, so people are allowed to come by and peek in the window to see Santa Claus working with the kids.
Nice.
That window in itself is a huge attraction for the store, that people want to come up and see Santa Claus spreading the smiles in there. And as you see when we go down on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, the Santa Claus that is in the parade is a spectacular man. He has one of the biggest hearts of Santa hearts I've ever met in my life. And we are celebrating our 100th anniversary of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And Bill is his name, and Santa Bill is going to retire, as he's telling us after that, for his ride down the Macy's and on Broadway and all that. And Santa comes in. There's a little over 200 and some odd elves that guide people during the holiday season through the Macy's Santa Land. And Santa Bill comes in and actually does a pep talk for everybody as Santa from the North Pole. And he is real bearded, and it is amazing. Remember all those shows we used to watch as kids growing up, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? All of those shows where Santa Claus was this gentleman. As soon as he walks in, the entire place goes quiet. We have a huge Christmas cookie buffet to kick off our season at Macy's, and Bill tells the story of the night before Christmas. We've got people weeping because they've been overcome by so much. The guys are shaking because they're so thrilled about where they are and what they get to do. So it's an amazing life to be Santa Claus. It really is. It
So, on a
really.
brief definition, what would you say is the heart of Santa?
Well, I think the heart of Santa Claus is something that just doesn't happen overnight. I mean, I was blessed at the early age of 5 of knowing of what I wanted to do, and that my heart was already percolating as something that I wanted to give back to people, that I wanted to keep people entertained, to make them forget about the world around them just for a few minutes, to bring that smile to them. One of the things that I look at is when I had my stints with the circus and with the Big Apple Circus and everything else, one of the things I really try for. Have you ever seen heat rise off of asphalt in the summer when you sit back and everything starts to wave above the asphalt like that? I think each one of us has the ability to make that wave around each of us, to do that, to spread the joy, spread our energy of that. And I think of myself every time when I go out to have that spread. And I really work hard to get, people may call it an aura, people may call it whatever they want to call it. All I know is I want people to feel what I feel, to feel the joy, to feel the happiness. I mean, people take life for granted. You see the world that we're living in these days. It has become such a tumultuous place. We don't know what's going to happen next. We need to take every moment that we're given. And we need to take that moment and use it for the rest of the people on earth. And we are chosen as Santa Clauses and Mrs. Clauses and holiday entertainers and clowns to spread that feeling of happiness, that feeling of joy around, to get people just to forget what's happening in the world today, to make the world a better place, to make everybody's, that little aura that surrounds everybody, change when we come on site. So they feel that love, they feel that respect, they feel that sort of, I want to say, that big Santa hug that we give everybody. We don't have to hug them, but they sure can feel it.
All
All
right, Joe,
right,
I'm
very
going to
good.
try to do something here. Nope, it's not going to let me do it.
Here, do you need me to help you?
I was going to show that picture I have pulled up on my Facebook
Or
of
did
Joe.
you just put that on?
Pardon?
I'm trying to see what scene you put that on.
This is not the picture from the post office, right?
No,
It
that's
might be.
from the Lone Star Santa Roundup that I was speaking of back in 2015 of you dressed as Santa in your outfit, and I was going to
Yes.
share it, but it's not wanting to share or not wanting to come up correctly. So,
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
oh well, we
I just
tried.
started doing a new character over the last couple of years, and Spangle saw it the other day. And I am, if you remember the Santa Claus movie with Tim Allen, does anybody remember the elf that Tim Allen had who ran the North Pole? His name was Bernard. So all the kids know Bernard as the elf in the North Pole. I play Bernard's father. I'm Papa Elf at the North Pole. So I actually have the big white mutton chops that come out and the little goatee and the mustache and everything else. I'm the oldest elf at the North Pole, and I'm the one. And Bernard, oh, I tell all the kids all the stories of Bernard growing up and how he's made his mother mad and how he's made Santa mad and everything else. So I've taken a new form of storytelling where we come up with all this stuff with Bernard. And to me, to be able to sit down and tell the kids a story and You know what I like is when they start to inch closer to you when you tell the story. I'll be sitting in the rocking chair, I'll be sitting wherever, and they're inching closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. And I just got a new, I shouldn't say, for the last year, I got I had a reindeer puppet built called Holly. And Holly has a steel armature and every eyes blink, head moves, the whole routine. Looks like an animatronic figure, but is controlled by me. And she's Rudolph's granddaughter. So the kids really get to, they know who Rudolph is and everything else. And so they get a big, big kick out of being able to meet Rudolph's granddaughter. So I take that little bit of everybody realizes that Santa Claus, the folklore is, and I go a little farther. I let the kids dream about different things or think different things, give them something to think about. You know, what the names of the reindeers really mean and where they come from. I mean, does anybody know that two of the reindeers are named after thunder and lightning? No? And they're twin brothers. Nobody knows? No, Donner and Blitzen are twin brothers. Donner and Blitzen are named, Donner and Blitzen mean thunder and lightning in German. And then what's really great is that Donner is Rudolph's father, Blitzen is Rudolph's uncle. So, the devil's in the detail. The more detail you can give Santa Claus, the better they believe you.
Fact. All right,
Okay,
Bob.
so real fast here, if I can do this really quickly. I think I figured out a way to do it. I screenshotted it and blew it up. Add it to the scene here real quick.
Oh, I see ya. Yes, yes. You don't really think I wear that red coat inside all day long. Absolutely not. That's one of my versions of Santa Claus that I would go into. I'll go into a house or I'll go into wherever I'm visiting with the full red coat on and everything else. And then once I get in there and I'll take that off and I have all the Santa accoutrements underneath it. Not only do I look like Santa, I have that Santa underlay underneath, but I also smell like Santa. I make sure I either smell like peppermint or I used to smell like pine, but then I got to thinking, oh, pine could be used for pine sol and everything else, so we don't do the pine anymore. But cookies and peppermint and all that, and now even some days I'll smell like cotton candy too.
I even think smelling like the reindeer barn might smell like Santa.
Oh yeah, well, you know, living with elephants as long as I have, I miss the smell of elephants being out on the road. And I actually have friends of mine that have a couple of elephants still that they treat as pets in Connecticut. So I'll go up to visit the elephants at least once a month, and I'll knock on the door and I'll say, "Hi, everybody. Is it okay if I go spend the morning with the girls?" So I bring my coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, and I bring a donut from Dunkin' Donuts. So I actually bring three. One for the elephants, two for the elephants, one for me, and just sit there and smell that aroma of the elephants. It brings me back to the time when I was first on the show. We had 30 some odd elephants when I started in the show back in '81, so brings back really good memories. I think that also the fact is that smell and sound bring back unlock memories for lots of people.
Lots.
Santa Claus is for every age, and just not kids. You know, I have all the music from the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer special from Rankin Bass, and I have an orchestral version that doesn't have any songs. So, you know, We Are Santa's Elves, and I am, Misfit Toys and all that. And the kids know all this music. So if you're going to go play Perry Como singing White Christmas, they're going to know Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer a lot better sometimes than Perry Como and all.
Sure.
And I get looked at like I had four heads. You say, I'll talk about Perry Como or I'll talk about Andy Williams, and then people are like, who?
Yeah.
So, yep.
All right,
Because
Joe.
when you really hear them, you really only hear them at Christmas time anymore. That's
Right.
all.
Exactly. So stay with us. We're going to, right here, we're going to take a little break. We'll be right back in about 90 seconds. We're going to play the StuffForSanta.com commercial, and on the other side, we'll be back with Joe.
Good.
Oh, hello there. Yes, of course, it's me, Santa Claus. Now, you may not believe this, but one of the questions I get asked the most is, well, not how do I do it all in one night? No, but where do I get all my things from? Yes, now, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the finest things I have. My glorious gloves, all my knickknacks and trinkets and things. Yes, all the giveaways. Yes, for me to give to the children before the main event. Yes, if I see them in the streets, if they come and see me, I like to have something in my pocket I can treat them with. Yes, and there's one special place where I can find all these magical goods. And that is, of course, stuffforsanta.com. You should head there now and see what magical gifts you can find. Mrs. Claus, have you got my ice pad? Yes, log me on, I'm going to have a look. I shall see you there. Stuffforsanta.com. Merry Christmas.
All right, we are back with Joe Barney, and that commercial, another very talented traditional beard Santa, never gets old. I guess we've had that on the show now, what, about 3 years?
Yeah, probably. But yeah, it's my favorite commercial.
Yeah, we love
I love
it
that one.
each and every
Love
week.
that one.
Now, before we went to the break, you were talking about the smell of elephants. That reminded me of a story that you told when we were in Texas back in 2015 about your time traveling on the circus trains and this sort of thing, and living with the animals and all the fun times you had. So, we're going to go back real quick. We couldn't have you on and not talk about your early life in circus calling as a clown. So we're going to kind of switch gears and get into the clown side of things. Growing up in Bridgeport, when did you first feel the pull towards performing? I think you almost over that a little bit, but let's get into it a little bit more.
Well, I first started. It was funny because at an early age, my grandfather and all that. It was one thing that it was in our blood, so to say. And back then, when I started clowning, I was a full blown, what they call an Auguste clown, which is with the pink cheeks and the flesh tones and the big nose and the wild hair and the big shoes and everything else. And I fell in love with that look and performed that way, and that was my look. That was what I looked like, and I'll tell you, I totally enjoyed it. And being in the circus and being that whole world of the circus, I got to be friends with the world's smallest man, and friends with Gunther Gable Williams, the famous lion and tiger trainer, and it was really an eye-opening experience of being able to travel like that, be able to work with the families and the kids that I got to see. And it was kind of neat because when I first started with the show, I wasn't per se in the show. I was doing all the pre-shows for them. So I would do the private parties. I would do, and it was wonderful because I was one of the few clowns way back then that was able to do a full show by themselves. So I was able to do the juggling, the clowning, all of that stuff. So they didn't have. Normally, when you go to the circus back then, if you remember, they had 20 or 30 clowns that were out on stage. All those clowns would mesh together to create a clown thing. I was able to go into the restaurant or whatever the event space it was and do a whole clown show that would bring the flavor of the circus to that advanced, should I say, clowning of what we did. But then I became P.T. Barnum for the show in the latter part of the years that the show was on travel. The circus closed about, I'm going to say 8 years ago, probably maybe a little longer at this point, and it just came back about 2 years ago, too. And it came back totally different. Totally different. There's no more animals in the show. There's no more clowns in the show and everything else. I'm not a big fan of progress on that type of stuff. I like the old days too. I will agree that everybody hears how badly the animals are treated on the circus and everything else, and quite frankly, I mean, the animals are treated exceptionally well. I never saw a problem with them in all the years that I've been around with. Some of my best friends are elephants, so I mean, I understand where people's hearts come into, but you You look at the reindeers and how well the reindeers are taken care of at the North Pole, plus all the reindeers farms that are out there today. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. One of the most wonderful things that happened to me when we opened the first holiday in the park for Six Flags, we had reindeer. I got reindeer to come in, and the gentleman that had the reindeer was Dr. Mike. He lives right outside the Buffalo, New York area, and he has an entire herd of reindeer that he's a veterinarian, and he keeps this entire herd of reindeer as his pets. So these reindeers are leash broken. So I would walk through the park with a big full-size reindeer on a leash. And I'll tell you, people's eyes would pop out of their head that I had this reindeer walking along with me. And I'll never forget, because we were in the Adirondack Mountains, it snowed very heavily right after Thanksgiving. So there I am walking in a complete, very, very cute amusement park, old style amusement park, snowing with Christmas lights everywhere. And Santa Claus, I had my big warm robes on, walking with a reindeer. People didn't even come up to take pictures. They were just backed away from us, like we parted this crowd. They're like, "Oh my God, look at this!" So that was another great experience of being able to do what we do. So,
What is your earliest memory of circus magic or Barnum influence in your life?
what's the earliest that I felt it? You mean,
Yes.
or I would say by the time I was in my teens, I knew that was something that was in me. That's what I wanted to do. Many people were always nervous about getting on stage or doing anything like that. I never had that. I'll get nervous. You know where I'm more nervous when I'm putting together a new character, or I'm putting together a new piece. When I step on stage, I feel like I'm getting plugged into a socket, that I have the energy of the audience behind me, and it really is. It really is amazing.
I don't know if
So,
your parents
um,
ever told you things like my parents told me when I was growing up. I was 13, 14 years old, and my parents are coming to me saying, Spangle, aren't you like wanting to run away and join the circus? Bye.
my parents really knew that this was what I wanted to do. My dad broke my chops a little bit, because here I am at 12 years old, standing in front of the bathroom mirror, putting on rouge and makeup and everything else. And he goes, "Oh my God, you put on more makeup than your mother and your sisters." I'm like, "Dad, I get paid to do this." You know what I mean? So through his whole life, he was always supportive of what I did, but I never really knew if he knew how much that it changed my life and how much I was able to change other people's lives. And my dad lived until his 80s, and at that point I was with the Big Apple Circus in New York, and I was Dr. Geezer, chief of fartiology. Yes, fartiology, where we have plenty of donors but very few recipients. And I was the poster child for the Yale New Haven Children's Hospital. So I was on front of the New York Times magazine, weekend magazine, with my head tilted and my glasses on and my nose and everything. And the ad campaign was, every child that comes to the Yale New Haven Children's Hospital is seen by a highly trained specialist, and that was me underneath it. We're driving down 95, the main thoroughfare between Maine and Florida, and there are billboards with my face up there with that across. My father's sitting next to me. He's in his 80s. He looks over at the billboard and says to me in the most calm voice, he turns to me and says, "You know, I guess this clown stuff worked out after all." To me, that was the biggest pat on the back I could have ever gotten from my dad, that he was so pleased that this is what he was such a part of making me who I am. My dad was in the funeral business, which was pretty incredible. People say, "Your dad was in the funeral business and you joined the circus?" I said, "Yes, he never let me do the makeup. I don't understand why he never let me do the makeup at the shop."
Right. I had a talk with my father before his passing, and I said to him, I said, "Did you ever think that your son was going to grow up and wear makeup?" And he said, "Son, I always hoped my son wouldn't, but I am quite okay with the makeup you wear."
Nice to hear it. And I'll tell you, it's nice to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of what my son has done with wearing his makeup. And, my son, when he was 16 years old, came and he said, "Dad, I want to learn how to eat fire." I said, "Excuse me?" He goes, I want to learn how to eat fire. I said, you're not going to learn how to eat fire if I'm going on a Google or Facebook or whatever. I said, I have friends that'll teach you how to eat fire. So I took him to the Coney Island school, sideshow school in Coney Island, New York, in Brooklyn. He learned how to eat fire. He learned how to walk on broken glass. He learned how to swallow swords, all that wonderful stuff. His second year on Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, they had a show called Barnum's Conundrum. And it was a salute to the 200th birthday of Barnum. And one of the things that they had was they had a whole entire, what we call the spectacle. We shortened it towards the spec, which was the big showmanship piece in the middle of the show. And they had a 6'4" African-American gentleman that blew fire and walked on broken glass. He left the show while blowing the show. He blew the show in the middle of the night, and when everybody was getting ready for it, he never showed up for work. So everybody was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So the powers that be that ran the circus came out and asked if, does anybody here know how to eat fire? So there's my son, skinny little, boy with freckles and red hair, raises his hand and he said, and they call him Barney. They say, Barney, why didn't you ever tell us? He goes, nobody ever asked me. So he actually became the fire eater and the sword swallower and all that in the middle of this great big Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey show. So he performed as a clown at the beginning of the show, got out of that makeup, performed as a sideshow performer, and then came back in as clown makeup for the end part of the show. So his claim to fame with the Ringling Circus is he was the last sideshow performer ever hired by the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. So
Now you can ask Bob if your son wanted to learn fire eating. You could have just sent him over here to me, because you can ask Bob about my collection of hot sauces.
Oh my gosh.
oh, he's like those hot sauces, huh?
Oh
Excellent.
my gosh.
Excellent.
I've
Excellent.
got
Mhm.
hundreds
I don't know how the boy
and hundreds of
survived.
bottles of hot sauce in my house.
I don't know how he survives.
Well, you eat that hot sauce while walking over the broken glass, and then we'll talk, okay? Maybe
Right,
we can
right,
get you,
yeah.
Mhm.
Joe, I vaguely remember you telling a story, and I may be wrong about this. I may have it mixed up with somebody else, but didn't your son go on to perform as a clown for a very well-known hamburger?
Hamburger restaurant? Yes. My son was one of the national, is what they called them, Toms back then, but one of the national Ronald McDonald's traveled. He was based in Houston, Texas. The city of Houston has 400 McDonald's in the city of Houston. So that's a big place. And there's only two of the big red shoe cars that were ever made for Ronald McDonald. Remember the big red shoes that you'd see in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade with Ronald riding it? He had one of the red shoes in Houston and traveled around in the red shoe and all that. And he actually had a driver and everything else. So he loved his time as Ronald McDonald. Loved his time as Ronald. So he's currently works for the city. He decided one of the last projects that he worked on before he came off the road was he just was the production manager for the Masquerade show, and it's the Andrew Lloyd Webber live version of the Phantom of the Opera in New York City on Broadway. So he told me, he came home and said, I'm really tired of traveling all around. So he took a job with the city of Jacksonville, Florida. So he works with the city of Jacksonville and is their production manager for the Jacksonville Jaguars and the arena and all the other stuff down there. So
All right,
keeps
Bob.
the family business alive.
All right, let's go ahead and grab a couple more. We're running a little bit long. We've had so much to talk about, but I want to get to these next couple of questions if we can.
Sure.
What does clown training actually involve that people might not expect?
Oh my goodness. The clown training that we underwent two different types. I basically grew up around some of the biggest clown names in the business, of seeing some of them. You probably all heard of Emmett Kelly, and some of the other people you might have heard of was Lou Jacobs. Lou Jacobs was Frosty Little. These were all clowns that were considered master clowns with the Ringling Show. So I was basically had a pretty good touch of clowning before I joined the circus, and it was amazing that to learn the ins and outs. It's not only about the makeup; it's about how we perform, how we're perceived, how we're seen from so far up in the arenas, how we interact with people, and all that. When I went to work with the Big Apple Circus, the Big Apple Circus specialty was nobody was more than 50 feet from the circus ring, so they could see us very up close. And the fact is, when we were in the hospitals, we were actually clowns going in the hospital. The Big Apple Circus was the groundbreaking of the American clown in hospitals across the country. And it was amazing that my character, I looked like a regular doctor, except I had a little flesh tone nose. And if you remember the Doctor and the Doll photo that was, or I shouldn't say photo, illustration that was done by Norman Rockwell that had the little mirror up here, I very much looked like him, but I did not know where I left my pants. So I wore big heart boxer shorts with big clown shoes, sock garters, and everything else. And I'll tell you, we learned how we could keep the kids safe. We never were worried about how we were going to get sick being in the hospital. Doing we learned all the hospital protocol, how to clean our props, how to interact with kids with various diseases and everything else. It was such an eye-opening, but probably one of the most amazing things I ever did in my life. And I'll tell you, it really taught me how to interact on a one-to-one basis with families and children, more so than I did when I was in the circus or anything else like that. So I carry those days that I cut my teeth on performing in the hospitals and doing the one-on-one to my Santa Claus character. Well, that's one of my biggest helps from there.
Do you have a favorite clown character or routine that you created?
It's a fact. I will tell you, my favorite part was when I worked in the hospital with the kids, and that was my one of my favorite characters was Dr. Geezer. My I have three favorites: Doc Geezer, and then Uncle Fester is one of my favorites too because I play Uncle Fester. I'm not scary. So when you go into these amusement parks expecting to have this horrendous scary experience, and all of a sudden you come up to a real live honest to God Uncle Fester, and I had all the equipment to shoot the sparks out of my fingers to put the light bulb in my mouth and turn on the light bulb. I was one of the most photographed ghouls, and a lot of the zombies and the Draculas and the werewolves thought they were so. I got so many pictures. Da 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 da. When we had Kodak taking pictures of all of us in the parks, I almost every season got the highest amount of pictures taken because not only did I get pictures taken with the kids, I get pictures taken with the adults. I got pictures taken with the grandmas. I used to get hugs and kisses from the grandmas because they remembered growing up that I was part of their family. Oh, it's Uncle Fester. Let's go watch Uncle Fester on TV. So he's one of my favorite that I do.
What was your most challenging part of circus life?
Oh my God, what was the most challenging part? I think the most challenging part that I had to come to grips was being away from home, being away from the kids and all that and traveling. And for those of us who perform and are performing on the road a lot, I've been out on the road right now. I'm actually coming to you from my hotel in Nashville, Tennessee, where I'm teaching at the Clowns of America International Convention this week. And I've been out on the road for about 3 weeks now, and I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to go home. I don't know God bless the fellows that spend 30 plus days working at the Cabela's or the whatever the store is, or friends of mine like Tom Sorrell and all these guys that would go for those long stints of time and everything else. I didn't go travel the world last year because we have stuff in California, we have stuff in Florida, we have stuff in St. Louis, in Missouri. Last year I decided to stay home. I wanted just to stay home, and you know what? It might be funny to say, but I wanted to enjoy Christmas a little more. That I didn't have to worry about what was my next gig that I was going to and all that. So I became the Santa Claus for our town. We have a beautiful zoo in our town, and the zoo's about 4 blocks from my house. We have a carousel in the middle of the zoo. So I became Santa Claus every night at the zoo. And I created the North Pole within the carousel building. So I would come at 5 o'clock. Honey, I'm going to work. Front door. And I came back home by 8:30. And I got to see all these kids and it was a magical place to be in a carousel building with all the kids taking carousel rides, and it was quite nice. It made me realize, even more to slow down, to take that advantage of being able to, people were taking their own pictures and all that. So I get to spend so much amount of time. And it's really nice when you find the grandparents and they have a chance to talk to you too. Why do you remember this? Do you remember that person? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so it was a very nice Christmas for me last year. So we'll see how this year pans out. Where I have to go, or if I can stay home. So
Very nice. Michael, let's go out to our audience in the chat and let's look at some of these. I know we've got quite a few started. Let's grab some of the more important ones. The first one, and Joe, this is going to run across the screen, kind of cover you up.
sure, I see it.
Wants to know what a resume. Two questions. What was the most difficult challenge you faced as Santa? I think you kind of already covered that one.
Yep.
Second question is, when are your memoirs coming out?
You know what? It's funny. My kids are begging me to do a book about my life of being in the entertainment business. And maybe I think that may be in the cards in the next 5 years to be able to do that. I need to find one of those ghostwriters that I could just sit down and tell the stories and they can write them for me. So, and I'd have to sit and choose what stories I'm going to tell and what stories are going to be out there in that book. But thank you. I'm glad people enjoy them. So.
There's one for you, Spangle.
All right, here's a two-part question from Doug. Okay, when the costume is put away for the last time, what do you hope people felt not about Santa or the clown, but about the man inside? And how do you want to be remembered when people tell stories about you years from now? That's a good question.
That's a very good question. And I'll tell you, I'm always Joe Barney, and I'm pleased. You ever get to the point where you're happy with yourself and how you turned out? And I've had my ups and downs. We've had I think we all do, our own obstacles to overcome and everything else. And I'm very pleased with the life that was given to me and the life that I've led. And the fact that I'm able to I may put away that costume, but I don't put away the joy that this time as Santa Claus brings me. I choose to act like Santa Claus all year long. I don't necessarily look like Santa Claus all year long. So I like to say I carry the magic of Santa in my heart and share it that way anytime that I can get. I'm always, I'm always being asked to host auctions or charities and all, and I will do it in a minute because that's one thing I love to do is really to make people laugh, to make people have a great time. And I think that would be the answer to that question for me.
Well, and I think Kevin Bernhardt kind of sums it up here in his comment. We met at Santa Fe reunion. He had a vendor's table next to me in the secondhand store. I don't think he has ever met a stranger, and that is so true. That pretty much sums it up.
Very true, Kevin. Very true. Nobody's a stranger to me. Everybody says to me, we feel like we've known you for 100 years. And you know what? Every time that I did as a show, as a clown or as a comedy magician, when I went on stage, I was always your favorite uncle. I was always that one that made the kids laugh. I was always that one that came over for Thanksgiving or Christmas and changed the whole mood of the house and everything else. So I was your crazy uncle. I think other people, I try to emulate is John Candy, Nathan Lane, Drew Barrymore. Not Drew Barrymore. What's his name? Yes, it is. The fellow who does Drew Carey. Drew Barrymore. No, I'm not Drew Barrymore from E.T. No. Drew Carey. So.
Well, AJ says, I'm attending Joe's class at Santa Fe reunion about elves on the shelf. And AJ, you don't have to wait because you're going to be in Branson with them.
That's right.
Yep. I'm really excited about my new Elf on the Shelf class that we're doing. I've been around since Elf on the Shelf started, and I've used Elf on the Shelf in various ways in my presentations as Santa Claus and also performing as Santa Claus. I do a whole magic show with the Elf on the Shelf. And we talk about what happens when you touch an elf and he loses his magic, and how do you get that magic back. And you know what? And the reason I like that is because the moms and dads, we're getting to that point where the moms and dads had elves on the shelf as their own while they're growing up. Now they're beginning to bring that magic with their kids. So the fact that I can help them and help us as Santa Clauses to understand the magic of the elf on the shelf, to me, it's another great gift. Let's someone's going, oh, I don't like him, blah, 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 Big Brother watching. I find the elf on the shelf to be a great help to what I do. Great,
Bob,
great help
why
to what I
don't
do.
you get the next two there?
Okay, Joe Cunningham wants to know what designer beards have you used throughout the years?
Oh my God. I have Maggie's was it Maggie Zhang is her name? I have those. I use a company in New York, which is called Act One Costumes. It's located right outside of New York City, but if you Google it, you can get Act One Costumes, and they specialize in every type of Santa beard. I like to have a short beard because I like that look of the Miracle on 34th Street Santa Claus. So but I like a full beard. So I will go to them and I will buy, usually I buy about 6 beards per season for it. And then I have ladies that make my costumes and also ladies that work on my hair pieces. And my beards, when I take a beard, I'll sandwich the beards together and have them sewn together so there's extra fullness of that. So Act One is one of my favorites, and Maggie's I have when I have the whole um, with the whole wig and all that other routine. And that normally when I work a Santa, I don't wear a wig. That I have enough hair that sprouts that back out, that I have that little bit of wisp and everything. Plus, I wear many different Santa hats too. I have regular Santa hats, but a lot of my Santa hats are custom made for me too.
Yeah,
I have a smoking jacket Santa hat. So,
I don't wear a wig either. We
yeah.
missed a couple there. Joseph Cunningham says, "What an incredible legacy," and he followed that up by that he would like to nominate you for the Santa Claus Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you very much. I would very much like that, to tell you the God's honest truth. Yes. Yes, I have
Now,
been, what, I've lived an absolutely wonderful life as a performer. And people say to me, what is the best thing you ever did as a performer? I raised 6 beautiful kids with my wife and put them all through college on being a clown and being Santa Claus, which in this world today is an absolute amazing piece of work. You know, I said, and God knows I worked hard to do that. But to me, being able to, and my kids have all turned out exceptionally well, thank God. I'm blessed with them. Work ethic, empathy. Almost every one of them is involved in some way being teachers or being head of development societies for hospitals and all that. My son being a performer and all that. So I'm really have. That's one of my legacies is to leave with with some wonderful children over the years, and every one of my children can spin cotton candy, pop popcorn, lead an elephant, lead a pony, and take care of making the kids happy, which is to me is right on what I want to leave to my kids.
Very
So.
nice. Okay, Bob.
Shannon McCann, who comes to Branson every year, says he can't wait to meet you and learn a lot from you.
Excellent. Wonderful. I'm really looking forward to coming out to Branson this year. As you can probably tell from this conversation tonight, I get to travel quite a bit to the Santa Claus conventions, and I am so lucky to be able to meet so many of our brothers and sisters that are in this business and to share my journey of doing what I do. And when Spangle asked me to come to Branson, I was so honored. I am so looking forward to going and visiting with everybody and sharing some of my Santa knowledge and some of my tips and tricks of doing the work that we do. So I'm really looking forward to that.
That's
So
one for you, Spangle.
Yeah, Thomas Meyer says, "I love that you use Sammy Caleb Brooks from England for your commercial. Spangle, he is truly a talented singer and impersonator as well."
Yep. And the next one here is from Palmer. My favorite clown as a kid was Red Skelton. Who was yours, Joe?
Red Skelton was one of my favorites too. But growing up as a kid, I watched them all. I mean, I went back and watched. You want to go real back? I used to watch the Ritz brothers. I used to watch the Marx brothers, Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy. None of these guys wore makeup as we know it as clowns, but they were true clowns. They had the heart of a clown too. You see people. If you look in back in the day, when I was teaching clown classes, I'll tell somebody, can somebody name a clown from say the world today that we've grown up with, or we've got. Look at Robin Williams. You want to talk a clown? None better than
Lucille
Robin
Ball.
Williams. Lucille Ball,
Yeah.
Red Skelton, an amazing, amazing comedian. Amazing comedian. You know, back then in the day when I was growing up, the comedians, there wasn't any of the four-letter words. There wasn't any of that back then. It was all good, clean humor.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's still places out there where you can find good, clean humor. One of my favorite places to go, where a lot of my buddies actually work, excuse me, is the Comedy Barn over in Gatlinburg, like Comedy Barn Theater, and that's right by the Dolly Parton's Pirate Show over there. If you ever get a chance to see that, that's 100% family friendly, and comedy is incredible. All fellows that went to schools or to the circus were with me, and every year when I go to every couple of years when I go to Gatlinburg for the family reunion, I make sure I spend a night with all the boys to go over and visit their show, and it's really good. So if you're gonna come out to see the family reunion in Gatlinburg, you know, try and get a night where you can sneak over and see the Comedy Barn. Really, really fun, funny guys.
I would even say slapstick, like the Three Stooges, was a form of clowning also.
Oh, most definitely. The Three Stooges. You look at Curly and Shemp and Mo and all those guys, and amazing, amazing talents. You know, and you look at somebody. Look at Scooby Doo. Remember growing up as kids, the Scooby Doo, the cartoon Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo is a perfect clown. Is a perfect clown. So the fact is that the clown is disappearing from the American landscape is very scary to me.
Yeah. Santa
The
Mel
fact
says
that
you are
we don't
Christmas
have.
magic.
Oh well, thank you, Santa Mel. Thank you. So.
Go ahead and catch someone from Doug too, Spangle.
Maybe I'm getting behind here. We're kind of bounced around a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of skipping some of them that aren't as pertinent. We're running a little bit long, so I was trying to move.
Okay, one more question, Joe. You have done
Yeah.
it so much in your career. What do you still hope to give, or do you haven't that, or do you do that you
What I
have?
haven't done yet. What haven't I done yet? You know what? I have a bucket list, and I have been lucky enough to probably do about 98% of my bucket list. What have I left to do? I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I am so happy with what I've done and where I'm going with my journey. I really don't have one that stands out. You know, I've got to play Santa at almost every place that I wanted to be Santa. I've gotten to be a clown. I performed in incredible places. I never thought in a million years I'd be Santa Claus at the White House, or I'd never in a million years did I think I'd come up out of the floor in Radio City Music Hall as Santa Claus. Never in a million years. Growing up, these were all wishful things that I wanted to do, or play Madison Square Garden, or be, you know, one of the characters. I've played Santa for Disney, and it's amazing. It's just like it blows my mind that those wishes came true. Blows my mind that the wishes came true. What?
Well, I'm just waiting you to say you got
Oh,
that. You got
and
that
going to
one.
School of Santa.
Yeah, that one thing
Yep,
on your
and
bucket list about the School of Santas.
yes, the School of Santa. That's the other one. That's my bucket list. Is we're going to School of Santa. Exactly.
He's always playing that
Exactly.
angle, ain't he, Joe? Parker Odell
Yep.
says he
Yep.
hopes to see you in September in Lancaster. Are you going there?
Oh, I can't wait to see Parker too. Yeah, Parker's a good friend, and I'll see him in Lancaster at the Santa family reunion. Not the Santa gathering. Excuse me. I'm trying to keep straight of where I have to go next. I'm going to Spangle next, and then I'll be over in the Santa gathering in Lancaster, and then I'll be back down to the Santa family reunion in Gatlinburg. So I'm going to be bumping and popping all over the
I'll be
place for this
following
next
you to
year.
all those places. I think we got something from Larry, don't we?
We might have. I jumped along there. Let me go back and pick that up
No,
real
no,
quick.
no. I'm talking about Risk.
Santa Mel says, I second the ISCHOF nomination. I am shocked, Joe, that you have not already been inducted. Blows my mind that you haven't. You deserved it many years ago.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That'd be swell. I guess that's something I'll say is on my bucket list to do that. You know, it's
That's
certainly
coming right
nice to
from
be remembered as you know, in the clown business. I have many awards. I've been when they say award winning and all that, I'm a goodwill ambassador for various organizations and hospitals and all that, and also the what I should say, clown awards and for the state of New York and city of New York and all that. So, but I'd be very happy with that with Phil Wenz and all the wonderful stuff that he's done. Phil Wenz has always been one of my should I say mentors or one of the gentlemen that I've looked up to. That he's given so much to the world of is his Santa character.
Right, right.
It's not easy being Santa Claus every day of your life. It really isn't. You know, and you guys with the real beards really know that I respect you guys of being able to do that. You know, I have the happiness of performing every day of my life, but when you guys make that commitment to do it, you know, I can go into the Denny's or I can go to Walmart and nobody knows who in God's name I am. You know. But you guys having that all the time, that's I know that's a tough responsibility that you've taken on, and you all do it really well.
Michael, do you see the one from Larry you were talking about? I don't.
I'm talking about King Risk
Oh,
commercial.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, we got to give some thanks to some of our
Yes,
sponsors.
we do. And I was going to say, I don't think that I see anything else that's really a question. There's a lot of comments. We can go back and catch those at another time. All right, let's go ahead and say thank you to our contributors.
Hold on, one more comment here.
Santa Cruz says this episode has made me even more excited about School of Santas. There you go, Spangle.
All right.
Ho, 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 ho!
Shop Thermo Apparel. They're wonderful. They're fantastic. And for the coolest of cool Santas or Easter bunnies, remember Thermo Apparel.
Don't just be cool as an attitude. Keep cool, literally.
Thermo Apparel! Be cool! Ho, 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 ho!
Hey, I'll tell you what. We got Caboots. That guy makes them boots, you know. I just got me
He's
a
tremendous. Joey.
I just got me a pair of boots from him. Came in the mail today. Look at that.
Wow,
School of
Wow.
Santa.
that's beautiful.
Very
Cool to
nice.
say. That's
Can you
wonderful.
bring that up, Big?
That's wonderful.
Angela?
Angie, can you bring it up full screen?
It's gonna take me a second here.
It'll take her a second. So while
Uh-huh.
she's doing that, I want to say
Caboots right here. Look at that. I mean, he could do whatever you want done. Look at that school logo right there. Got hollies all the way around. Well, I'm gonna make that guy there in Texas jealous now.
you can do some boot scooting with that for sure.
Yes.
All right, let's reveal tonight's trivia answers before it gets any later. I want to say thank you to schoolofsantas.com, stuffersanta.com for the trivia questions here. In Lord of the Rings, what is the Elvish word for friend? Our answer there is sea melon. Sea melon. Our winner there,
Randy Neely, y'all.
Randy Neely,
Wow,
y'all.
Randy Neely.
Very good,
Congratulations.
Randy.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Bonus is in what century of the modern conception of Santa's elves began to take shape? Our answer there is A, the 19th century. Winner?
Charlie Johnson.
CJ, Charlie Johnson gets that one. And our extra credit tonight, what other characters can sometimes be confused for or mistaken for an elf? We had quite a selection here. Gnomes, fairies, pixies, brownies. But the answer was E, all of them. They're all confused at sometimes. All right.
Well, do you want the winner for that one?
The winner for that one is
Paul Anderson.
Paul Anderson.
Congratulations.
Very good, Paul. Fantastic. Your name goes in the hat. Now remember, your name goes in the hat, each one of you, for the School of Santas and North Pole Cornerstones drawings for the scholarship. Okay, we got one more run of commercials we've got to do real quick, and we'll be right back.
You always sneak up on me on these. It is Cherry Hill time, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Angie's Originals, custom Christmas attire since 2015. Your all-in-one wardrobe shop. Shop at angiesoriginals.com.
All right, I want to say thank you to Cherry Hill Programs and Angie's Original. Now, with the Cherry Hill Programs, if you commented tonight on tonight's show, we are going to have you go over to Cherry Hill Program Santa Central's page, tomorrow group page, and find out if you were the winner, because we had some great questions and comments, and we are going to choose one which we think are the best. So go over tomorrow and see if you won and get some swag.
Do I still got time to send my question?
You do until the show ends.
During live. You have to be a member of their Facebook group.
Yeah, that's correct.
Remember,
very
Angela, I'm a member of that group, but remember, I'll take you to Papacitos. Pick my name.
He's trying to bribe the judge over here. How about that? All right, Spangle, what's your closing thoughts about tonight's show and our fabulous
My closing thoughts are, I want people to know how blessed I feel to have known this man for so long and consider him a friend.
I have to agree. You know, I really am blessed to have you as a friend too. And I'm blessed to be in a community that is so loving. And the Santa community really, really has become such a big part of my life over these last years. And I can't wait to meet you on down the road. Come on over, come see me. Make sure you come say hi. And I can't wait to see the gang and the ladies and the gentlemen that are coming out to the School of Santas in Branson this year. Really looking forward to sharing. And I can't thank you guys enough for asking me to come out tonight, too. I've really, really enjoyed it. So I've been looking at red noses and big clown wigs all day. And to see this part of my family has been great. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Joe, I want to say a big thank you to you for coming on our show and sharing your expertise with us tonight.
And I'm going to go ahead and jump
Thank
in.
you. Thank you.
My final thought right here, too, is we're all performers in one way or another. You know, if you perform as Santa, Mrs. Claus, Elf, if you're just a supporting character, you're still wrapped up in the performance side of what we do. But absolutely, in my mind, there is no one out there that has performed in more key positions, characters, or places than this gentleman sitting right here tonight, Joe Barney. Absolutely the ultimate performer in our community. Let's get him into the Hall of Fame. Let's do this. Don't forget.
Thank you guys. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it.
I'm like I said, I'm shocked that you're not. The thought came to mind. I had to go back over there and look at the inductees through the years. I would have swore you'd been in there for 10, 15 years. I did not. I was shocked. I didn't know that you weren't already in. Again,
Yep.
committee, wrap yourself together and let's get him nominated and get those letters sent in. Okay, don't forget to tune in, kick up your heels, join in the fun for 2026, all powered by the TNL Network Productions. Thanks to School of Santa, Stuff for Santa, King Insurance, NP Cornerstones, Santa Nana, Nationwide Santas, Caboots, Thermapparel, Holiday Photo Magic, Jessica Lamb, want to say thank you very much to her, and Angie's Original and Cherry Hill Programs. Don't forget to go over and see if you won some swag tomorrow. And tell everyone good night, Spangle.
Good night, Spangle.
Good night, Spangle. He says, remember to join us for our next Tuesday Night Live each week.
Good night, Spangle.
Same claws time, same claws channel. Count your blessings, not your sorrows. Have a blessed week. I like to read this little piece here every once in a while. Tonight, I think it's very appropriate. Education and practice are two of the most powerful weapons and tools which one can use to change performance skills and knowledge. If you ever need help, Mr. Joe Barney will help you out. I know he's always there, never met a stranger. Thank you, Joe. Good night, all. See you soon.
Good night, everybody.
Stay right there, Joe.
Thank y'all. Good night. Stay safe if you have bad storms in your neck of the woods.
Lots of storms rolling around tonight.
I got windshields
Yep.
busted everywhere in my driveway.
Yeah, no, I can. They're rolling around out here tonight. I can hear them right outside the window.
It's that time of year. Good night, all.
We don't have too many tornadoes coming through New York. You know, this is a new experience for me. So,
Hey there.
good.